All right, so we are continuing to talk about quadratic inequalities. Make sure you watch part 1 for a very detailed view of what we're doing here. We're now going to move through this example a bit quicker. So we have this. We have x, and then multiplied by x minus 3 is greater than 0. Remember, whenever you get a quadratic inequality, you must sketch it. You have to sketch it. All right, so that means I'm going to come here, and I'm going to set this equal to 0, and I'm going to set this equal to 0. Remember, I'm doing this because I'm finding my x-intercepts. Well, this is already done. That's just telling me that x is equal to 0, so I've got a 0 there. And then this one, I have to solve it for x. That means this one will be 3. I then give it a sketch, so like this, like that, perfect. The quality of your sketch, like it can be an ugly graph, as long as you've got the concavity correct. So that means if it's going up or down, we'll talk more about that later. And as long as you've got the x-intercepts correct, that's all that matters here. All right, now this one is a little bit different to this example because now we're greater than 0. We're greater than 0. If it's greater than 0, that means it wants everything above the x-axis. So can you please shade in everything above the x-axis? And let's just write this in so we can understand it graphically. What this means is above actually, let me just write above x-axis. So that means my x values that are above, sorry, let me say that another way. Let me actually write down what we're saying here. So let me come here, and what I'm going to say is that, well, when x is less than 0, or when x is greater than 3, I'm going to get out outputs that are positive. So let me just highlight that and put in a red box because this is our answer. So when x is less than 0 or when x is greater than 3. So this is x is greater than 3. This is x is less than 0. Let me put that in a red box as well. Perfect. And we might just pause for a second and just appreciate what this is saying to us. If you're already kind of got it in your head and you understand, you might want to skip ahead. But if you're still thinking, I still don't actually get this, this is where you got to pay attention. So this is saying that if I put in x values that are less than 0, I'm going to get positive values out. So think of a number that's less than 0. Well, let's go x is equal to -1. So if I put -1 into my x spot here, that means I'm going to get a -1 there. And then if I put a -1 here, it's -1 minus 3 is -4. -1 times -4 is +4. So as you can see here, I get a positive value out. And we can think about this graphically. It means like if I'm over here, I'm getting a positive value out. So when I put in -1, I get 4 out. I get something positive out of that. So too, if I put in a value greater than 3, I should get a positive value out as well, or greater than 0, same thing. So if I put x is 4, so if I put 4 into this, I'm going to get a 4 there. Then I'm going to get 4 minus 3 is 1. So 4 minus 3 is 1. That's going to give me a 4 out. So that means if I put in a 4 here, it's going to give me that. So when I put in 4, I get 4 out. So when I put a 4 into this, which is greater than 3, I get a positive value out again. So again, what you really need to be paying attention to is this output value. All of these are greater than 0. But if I was to put in a number that was between them, so outside of my range here, so between them, let's say I put in x is equal to, what's a number between, well, let's just go 1. That's a pretty easy one. So if I put 1 into this, I would end up with a 1 in that x spot. Then I would end up with 1 minus 3. That's going to be -2. I'm going to get -2 out, which would be like here, wouldn't it? So, oh, sorry, that's a 1. So when I put 1 in, I get -2 out. 1, -2. And again, we have to be looking at that output value there. So only when I have x values that are less than 0 or greater than 3, am I going to get outputs that are above the x-axis or greater than 0. That's the thinking behind this question, people. Hopefully that makes sense. We've still got a few more examples to go. I'll see you in the next one.